Hi, I'm Kurt Radecki. Welcome to Network Bits, where we demonstrate Google Cloud networking and network security topics in short videos. In this video, we'll cover Cloud DNS response policies. We'll follow along with the documentation that you see here on the right, which shows us how to bypass private DNS resolution for some Google APIs. The result is that some DNS resolution will resolve publicly, while the rest will privately resolve to a private Service Connect endpoint IP, or if you're using private Google Access, you could use that IP range as well. For a compute engine virtual machine, DNS resolution order is generally a response policy, then private DNS, then public DNS. If a VPC only has a response policy applied to it and not a private DNS zone, then bypassing the response policy means that resolution will be public. Let's take a look at that now. First, here you see the documentation that we're following along with. You'll see that in this project I have a Compute Engine API and a Cloud DNS API enabled. I have a VPC, and in that VPC is a virtual machine. I SSH to the virtual machine. That's what you're seeing on the left. You see private Service Connect is in the VPC to global Google APIs. So we have a private Service Connect endpoint, and you can see the IP address of that private Service Connect endpoint. In Cloud DNS, you'll notice that there are no private DNS zones. It's not configured. You can see the zone type up here. Let's move over to response policies on the other hand. And you will see that there exists a response policy, and there right now exists one response policy rule. That response policy rule goes to the IP address of the private Service Connect endpoint. Let's look at it again, 172.16.110, 172.16.110. And you can see that it matches against googleapis.com anything. So now if I come over to my virtual machine and I run a dig and I'm grepping it to narrow the result down to the result of this DNS query comes back with 172.16.110. So you can see that this response policy is working and functioning normally. Now let's say we wanted BigQuery to, instead of going to that private Service Connect endpoint, we wanted BigQuery to be resolved publicly. We can create a new response policy rule, set the behavior to be bypass this response policy. Now when I create that, you'll see this new rule in here. Because it's more specific, it takes priority over the less specific rule. And now, after I clear the cache on my virtual machine, when I run dig, you'll see that it resolves, the DNS resolution resolves to a public IP address, no longer to this private IP address. I recommend you test this in your environment to make sure that it works the way that you need it, but that's all there is to creating a simple response policy to do what the documentation mentions, which is specifically send certain Google APIs to public resolution while continuing to privately resolve some of the other Google APIs. I hope this helps.